Hey there, Matt. Sorry you're not feeling well today. This is your video lesson for tonight. Two things I want to talk about. I'll go down the list. If you have any questions at the end, feel free to shoot a video or an email over, and I'll do my best to answer. And we'll go from there. So cool. So the first thing is, by the way, this is my new tech. So I've upgraded to an iPad since I'm doing some video lessons now. So you get to road test. You have to let me know if the quality is any good when it goes through on the YouTubes. So cool. So first thing is I'll kind of start at the top, work my way down, and kind of circle back around again how this kind of connects together. So we were talking last time about writing melodies, and basically solos are just like long melodies. They repeat a lot of times. There's a lot of sections. I was looking at a solo with a student on Saturday. He's relating to Jeff Beck, and he had in his head that these solos were just like endless strings of just concept that just kind of flowed through him and just came out of his guitar. And when we really looked at the head and then the solo of the song, really there's a lot of things that kind of repeat themselves with embellishments or augmentation or diminution. That meaning that, say, if there's an idea, like a full melody, like pieces of it will come back. So it's not like all brand new stuff, otherwise listeners doesn't have anything to hang on to. So maybe listen to some solos this week and see if you can kind of like piece together its structure. It's like a piece of like architecture or something like that. Like, how do these melodies build off one another? Do they come back again? Is there an A theme, or is there a B theme? Is there a C theme, right? So in the beginning, there's a saying I have: keep it simple, stupid, right? Which is, don't try to jam so many notes that you find it being unwieldy. Say, for example, I take an idea that we've been playing around with Mixolydian. I'll keep all this in Mixolydian for you. So take for example this idea in Mixolydian, right? The right, or you add those F's in there, right? See if I take one of those, right? And then I take that Mixolydian shape, right? That right there. So basically the scale, I think, is the box if I remember you're reading your email right, that's the box that you're working on this week. So that's what I'm operating in. I'm operating over here. So that shape, that G7 shape, or the G7 arpeggio, or sorry, the G major arpeggio, lives inside. There it is right there. Right? It lives inside there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it between like 1 and 5 notes. That's really all we want to start with, because if we start with a flurry of notes, you have nothing to develop that A idea into, right? It's kind of you've already maxed it out like right out the gate. It has nothing to evolve into. So you're going to keep the melodies simple in the beginning, and as we kind of germinate this idea, we'll make it more complex and add that big flurry of notes, like the Santana thing, I suppose. So I've chosen this. I've chosen the G, B, D, and then to add 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go with a 4th note right here. I'm going to add that C in there. So my note choice, and I might end up throwing that A in there. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm just going to try to make something that works. All right, so I have here, if I put a backing track on, I find the backing track is helpful for me to like bounce ideas off of, and you can make your own, or you can use the one I found here, which is called Jungle Track, Backing Track in G7, parentheses Mixolydian. So very John Scofield. I'm thinking of that album. I can't think of the name of. Bump, I want to say, or something like that. Anyway, sounds very Scofield to me. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That's my frame. 4, 1, 3, 4. 4. 3, 4. You can see what I did there. What does that? I just use a slide, some pull-offs, but my melody is basically staying around those notes with some filler in there. So I'm really only using 4 notes, and then I'm having like a real rhythmic idea of bum, 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 ba-da-da-dee-dum, bum. So that's what I'm feeling against that rhythm right there, right? And that's just my A melody. I get away with that for a while on this, I think. 2, 3, 4. Now, what did I do there, right? I had a really solid A that I had worked out, right? Making sure it was outlining that G chord against the Mixolydian backing track, therefore making it Mixolydian, right? So making sure I stay kind of inside that right there. I guess I could have added the F to it, but I didn't to make it a G7 chord. So I played that A twice is what I did. 3, 4. I did that twice. Then I did that same rhythm, but different contour. So I take the rhythm that I just did, but I do a different contour. So instead of doing the contour like this, think of the contour, you know, I'm sure you know what contour is, but a rise and a fall, right? I do a different contour. This time it's all falling. I did something like that, I guess that's what I did. So basically what I did was I cloned that rhythm and put the rhythm so boom, bum, beep, boom, bum, yeah, da, boom, 3, 4, boom, dum, beep, da, boom, ba, dee, dum, bum. Throw that in there. It sounds better if I went on the D. Right? So what you do is you do the same rhythm, but a different contour. So instead of going up like this, I did this time same rhythm, different contour. Something like that, right? So that's what I want you to do this week with your A's and your B's. So make the same contour, or sorry, make the same rhythm, but mix up the contour so it can be descending. But remember too, I'm only using a few notes when doing this. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like on that one. This one, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm really, A is only 4 notes that I'm using. B is just 5 notes, but they're all following that same rhythmic pattern, which helps unify them together and make them a cohesive idea. Just right there, that's all right. Right? That's number 1 right there. To be able to do that. Circling back around again, Mixolydian soloing, just different things you can do in level 1 soloing, is parallel minor pentatonic, right? So if I'm in G7, so on top of that, what I was doing was I was just doing G minor pentatonic. I was moving through box 1, 2, and like a little bit of 3 right there. So G minor pentatonic, we're working against the G7 chord the same way that when we talked about a G dominant blues, you can just play the parallel minor pentatonic across that whole G7 blues and it'll sound fine. Right? That's the easiest way of going about it, and I think you already kind of knew that, but just to review. The second way to make it slightly more interesting is that you can do the G major pentatonic scale or / E minor pentatonic scale over at G7, because remember G major and E minor, relative major to relative minor. You can play that G major pentatonic over top of that chord. Now remember, if you do that in the blues though, you can't do that over top of the C7 because the B and the B flat will clash with each other. So but over top of the G7 chord, you get away with it. And over top of this little like funky track jam thing right here, I can play or if I change boxes in here, so if I'm doing G major pentatonic here. G minor pentatonic. G major pentatonic. So maybe we get exercise. Can you switch between G major and G minor pentatonic in one spot? G minor, G major, G minor pentatonic. Try to talk while I'm doing this. And then lastly, you can play G Dorian pentatonic over top of the natural 6. Right? So play with the last one if you have time, but this week would be a good idea if you could just kind of focus on doing G major, G minor pentatonic in one spot. That way you can do more cooler stuff, more funner stuff over top of the G7 chord. Now, like I said before in the beginning of the lesson, circling back around again, is taking a rhythmic idea with different contours, right? So I'm gonna take that same idea I had before, right? Right? G minor pentatonic. G major pentatonic. So it's not necessarily doing a bunch of fancy, run up and down scales and stuff like that. It's coming up with a rhythmic idea that unifies all these different ideas. So what I did there is that I'll do an ABC. A will be the G Mixolydian pattern, then B will be G minor pentatonic, and then C will be G major pentatonic. G minor pentatonic. G major pentatonic. You see, they're all kind of following generally. I was just kind of winging it there, but like they're all generally following the same rhythmic motif. But then I switch between different scale ideas there. And so the sky's the limit with this. I could do it all in G minor pentatonic. I could do it all in G major pentatonic. I can do it all in G Mixolydian. But the idea is that the melodic stuff, it always has a unifying thing through it to link it all together, which is in this case different contour, same rhythmic device. And that way your solos will make more sense rather than just playing up and down scales and arpeggios and things like that. But we do use our scales and arpeggios, but they're tools in our toolbox. The house is not the hammer that was built with, it was the end result. So don't think like, oh, if I just do a bunch of different guitar effects like arpeggios and modes and pentatonics and scales like that, that's not the final product. The only people who care about that product are guitar players. Like I care about it, you care about it, but the listener, average listener, if you're playing and the average listener starts zoning off, it means that your ideas, there's nothing linking them and there's nothing interesting there. So awesome, man. So like I said, send something over to me if you want to look at it. If not, I will see you in 2 weeks. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Bye.